What's up guys, Mizzo Frizzo here, and in this tutorial I'm going to be showing you how to set up a GTA style third person camera. So as you can see here, I've got a metahuman. The camera's looking over his shoulder at a nice medium distance. If I press 1, it's going to zoom out to the long distance. If I press 1 again, it's going to go in for the close-up, and 1 again back to the medium. So as you can see, it cycles through the different distances, just like in GTA. Nice little over the shoulder action, and a little bit of camera lag so that he can get off center here, so it's nice and smooth, and a little bit of rotation lag as well, which helps to smooth things out. It's going to take about 10 minutes to set up, not too difficult. So without further ado, let me show you how to do this. Alrighty guys, for the record I'm using Unreal Engine 5.3 and I'm just going to create a new project using the third person template, leave everything as default and hit create. I'm just going to use the mannequin for this one. If you guys would like to swap your mannequin out for a metahuman, check out my updated method for replacing the mannequin with a metahuman in Unreal Engine 5.3. I'm just going to open up the BP third person character in third person blueprints, and the very first thing we're going to do is select the camera boom here and change the settings into what we want them to be for the medium camera, the default camera. So I'm going to set the target arm length to 200, and in socket offset I'm going to change this to 50 and 75 to get it just slightly over the shoulder. And down here in lag, we're going to enable camera lag and enable camera rotation lag. And we are going to change these values to, we're going to leave the lag speed as 10 and the rotation lag speed to 15. These are the values that I've found to be quite nice. We're going to change the camera lag speed for the close camera, but for now this is good for the medium camera. Target arm length 200, socket offset 0, 50 and 75. Enable camera lag, camera rotation lag, and set them to 10 and 15. The next thing we're going to do is quickly set up an advanced input, which will be in third person and inputs and actions. Right click and create a new input action. We'll call it IA underscore change camera. Okay, pretty sure we can just leave that as default. Back out to the input and the IMC default here and add a new camera mapping. Add the change camera that we just added, and if you click this little keyboard icon, and let's set this as tab. That should be all we need to do in here. Might need to come back there and fiddle around with that a little bit to get it how we like it, but let's find the change camera. Whoops, IA change camera. It'll be this one, I believe. Now we're going to want to cycle through 3 different settings here for the camera, so a flip-flop is not going to do it, but what we can look for is a multi-gate. Multi-gate is like a flip-flop, but can have as many of these outputs as you like, and you can start the index wherever you like. We're going to start it at 0, and make sure you check loop, because we obviously want it to loop back to the first setting. Now we're going to add a pin here because there's going to be 3 different settings, but because we changed the camera boom to the medium distance settings, the very first output is going to be our long range, because obviously we want it to cycle out to the long range camera and then back to the close. So we're going to start with the long range, and just to keep this organized, we're going to put the ranges in order. So the long range one is going to be down the bottom here somewhere, and we're going to find a sequence and add a pin. And actually, while we're here, we can duplicate that sequence 2 more times, and after the long range, the next one is going to be the short range up the top, and then back to the medium range camera here. So that's going to be the order that we're going in. The next thing we're going to do is create a timeline. So search for, I think you just have to search timeline. Oh, it's add timeline, I believe. Add timeline. And we'll just call this one timeline 1. Just going to copy that. Oh, I don't need to really copy that. We'll just duplicate this one 2 more times. We'll call this one timeline 2. Call this one timeline 3. Now, there might be an easier way to do this with just 1 or 2 timelines. This is the way that I've set it up. If you can improve on this, by all means, you should. But my thinking is that I'm not sure if these work if you set them from 0 to 1. So what we're going to do is we're going to set the first one. So double click on the first one here and add a track, add float track. The length will be the amount of time that you want it to change cameras. So I'm just going to set it as 1 second. If we shift and click twice, we'll add 2 points on here. We're going to set the first one to time 0 and value 1. And the second one to time 1 and value 0. You can click these icons here to fit it to the screen. I'm just going to zoom out a bit, select both of these, and right click and select user. And that's just going to give us this nice smooth curve. That's all we need to do in here. Compile and save and close that timeline. And actually we'll delete this one because we'll duplicate this after we change the settings on it. So open up the second one here, add a float track, change the time to 1, whoops, shift and click 2 points, and on this one we're going to make the time 0 and the value 0, and on the second point we're going to make the time 1 and the value 1. I'm not sure if these work in reverse when you're trying to change the value up or down. That's why I've done it this way. I haven't taken the time to experiment here, but this works, so all good. Compile and save and close that second timeline. Then we're going to duplicate that one. That one was timeline 3. And I just want to open this one up and make sure that it's, going 0, 0 to 1, 1. That's fine. Now, what we want to do is when we select this first one, the first thing we want it to do is to stop the previous timeline. We're going to collect, just to make this clear, we'll select the third pin and connect it to play from start, and we can do that with each one. Take the third pin, play from start. But the first thing we want to do is stop the previous timeline. So the previous one should be, this is the long range, so the previous one will be the middle. We're going to make it stop that previous timeline before we start the new timeline. This one as well will be stop up here, and this one will connect down to the bottom one. This might seem a bit confusing, but if you follow along, I guarantee you this will work. We are going to need the camera boom, so you can drag the camera boom out here. Okay, and we are going to set the target arm length. So off there you can set target arm length. Alright, and we can duplicate this a couple of times. Connect the targets. We're actually going to set the target arm length twice. So what I might do is, just to keep this a bit neater, is also grab the camera boom again, and I'm going to duplicate all 3 of these, and I'm going to slot them in just before this timeline in front of the second pin here. The reason is we are going to want to check what the target arm length is at the current time before when we start this timeline. So we don't want it to play from the start literally every time. It will play from the start technically in the timeline, but the start of the timeline will be the current target arm length. So off of this one as well, we can get the target arm length and then use that to set the target arm length as what it currently is. And then we're going to use this value in a minute to change where these timelines start. We're actually also going to might drag all of this stuff out a little bit more, because also off this second pin we're going to set the offset. So set the, what is it? Set socket offset. Set socket offset. That's also going to go off of there. We can duplicate this 2 more times. Make sure the execution pins are plugged in and the target, like so. It's all a bit messy, but yeah, it's fine. You can tidy it up afterwards if you like. And we're going to set this socket offset as what it is currently, so we can also get the socket offset, plug that in to all 3 of these. Alrighty, and we're going to use these nodes in a minute, their outputs, to change these timelines. We're also going to need to set these socket offsets here. This is what it's actually going to change to over here. And what we're going to use from these timelines is a map range clamped. We can plug in, so let's just start at the top here. We can plug in the update into the set target arm length and find map range clamped. Okay, and if you the track here is going to plug into the value here, and if you're not sure what to put as in range A and in range B, it's going to be where this timeline starts and finishes. So this one starts at 1 and ends at value 0. So this is going to be 1 to 0. Whoops. 1 to 0. And these ranges here, out range A is going to be the target arm length, where it starts here off of this one, and the out range is going to be what you want it to change to. So we're going to change it to 150 for the close range. So it's going to change from whatever it is currently when you press the key to 150, and that return value is going to go in here. This basically converts the value of this timeline, which is going to be anywhere between 1 and 0, to between this value and this value, respectively. We're going to do the same for the socket offset as well. So we can just duplicate this map range clamped 2 more times, because we are going to right click on the socket offset here and split the struct pin. We can also do that on the socket offset over here, the current, split the struct pin here. The value on both of these is going to be from the timeline, which the timeline goes from 1 to 0, that's already set up. And the current Y is going to be the in range A on this one, and the current value of Z is going to be the outrange value of this one, and we are going to we'll finish setting up this outrange B in a minute when we decide what we're going to make it. So basically this the outrange B is what you'll want to set this as. Actually, we can do it now. So the values that I've found that are good for the close range camera are 40 and 75, and that's the close range camera set up all there. I know it's spaghetti code, but if you followed along you should be able to plug all this in. As I said, you can tidy it up afterwards if you like. Now we can duplicate this map range clamped down here, but we are going to make it now 0 to 1. And my thinking is here that, you know, as we go down, as we increase the camera ranges, we're increasing here, and the value is going to be plugged in here to the timeline. In the outrange A is going to be the current target arm length, and then we're going to put in the desired target arm length. This is our medium range camera, our default, so remember we set that to 200. You can plug that return value into the target arm length there. Let's get the execution pin plugged into update, plug in that one, and we can take this, duplicate it 2 more times for this one, and actually while we're here we can just select all 3, duplicate all 3 for down here, and the values all plug into the timelines here. 0 to 1, 0 to 1, that's correct. We have to split the struct pin here, and this will be Y into the outrange A here, Z into the outrange A here. We have to split this struct pin, and we are going to change this to 50. And actually we're going to leave the offset the same, the vertical offset the same for the medium range camera, so we don't actually need this one here. This return value will be the Y, and we're going to leave Z the same, so let's change this to 75. We don't need the timeline for that because it's not even changing. Alrighty, I believe that's this one all done. Play from start, update these, return values are plugged in, initial value outrange A from over here, 250. I believe that's all correct. This one we can plug in, update here. Let's plug in the track from the timeline to the initial values here. 0 to 1, 0 to 1. Return value gets plugged in here. Outrange A is the current target arm length. And let's change the target arm length to 300 for the long range camera. And down here we'll have to split this struct pin and split this struct pin. Current socket offset Y is the outrange A on this one, and Z is the outrange A on this one. And we're going to change these to 75 and 85. The values that I've found are quite nice, and this is the Y and the Z. You can change these values, the offset values, to whatever you like. You can make them variables, so they're very easy to change. The only other thing we want to do is set the camera lag, because I've found that with the close range camera lag, you want the camera to be a little bit faster. So we're going to grab the camera boom and set camera lag speed. set camera lag speed. And we can duplicate that 2 more times. Plug in the execution pins. Plug in the camera boom as the target. And we're going to make it 15 for the close range camera. And we're going to make it 10 for these other two. Okay. We got some errors down here. We've forgotten to plug in a target. Target is the camera boom. Camera boom. And camera boom. Target's going to be the camera boom. Just FYI, the target is going to be the camera boom for all this. So the camera boom is the only thing that we're screwing with. That should be absolutely everything. The errors are gone. I'm just going to quickly change my FPS so I don't break my recording software as per usual. If we hit play now and we hit tab, we're going into, oh, what's going on here? There's something that's not playing on a timeline here. Yeah, it might just be a matter of just changing it to a button press. So yes, in the IMC default, triggers pressed. Let's try that. We didn't plug it in, did we? Yeah, that's all you had to do. Change the trigger to pressed. There we have it, guys. GTA style third-person camera. A little bit of nice over-the-shoulder action with variable ranges and a bit of camera lag. Very nice. Much better than the standard camera boom settings that come on the third-person template. I think you'll agree. Very nice. Alright guys, if this has been of any use or value to you whatsoever, please hit like and subscribe, and I will see you on the next one.